Can you see that? Can you see that? Am I the only one having pangs as a result of just watching the video? Well, the lady herself seems not to care, so we move. If this and other types of damage is what you make your hair go through, then you need to watch this video to the very end. But you need to subscribe first. Please subscribe and turn on the notification bell, especially if you are just coming across my channel. Here we discuss matters relating to hair and hair problems. We provide solutions to the problems. We debunk myths and misconceptions and many others. We spill everything relating to hair. So make sure you subscribe so that you won't miss out. And to my returning subscribers, thanks for always stopping by. Without much talk and the like, so let's get right into the video. It is very important for us to know how a damaged hair looks like, acts like, or even feels like. But most of the time we get used to the way our hair behaves or doesn't behave, and then we ignore the signs of true damage. There are so many things that could cause damage, which ranges from environmental factors, heat appliances, excessive heavy styles, styles, lack of moisture, amongst many others. Anyone who has been in the natural hair crew for a while now probably knows how fragile a natural coily hair can be. Although natural hair is very versatile and can be twisted, it can be curled, it can be braided into different styles, but any excessive manipulation can result in a major damage to the hair. Aside from the typical hair damage that is caused by over manipulation, damages to the hair often fall under 4 major categories. Knowing the type of damages that you have will also help you to better manage your hair and prevent future hair woes. So number 1 is physical damage. This is the most common type of damage and it has the most drastic effect on the hair. Physical hair damages are mostly caused by man-made hairstyles and manipulation that compromises the health and strength of the hair. Although ponytails, afro pops and buns are quick and easy styles to do, but when done too often and too tight, they can cause a strain on the edges of the hair and can result into a receding hairline, that is bald edges.
Wow, fine, way. Wow, the video.
Now look at this woman. Just take a look at what she's doing to her hair. Another example of a physical damage are braids that are too tight and too heavy, particularly braided hairstyles that are left in for too long and were not well taken care of during the time they were in the hair. So leaving your hair alone for 3 months, for example, has a consequence on the health of your hair compared to when you leave it for a month. So try not to pass 1 month, especially when you make your natural hair alone without extensions. Another way the hair gets physically damaged is during detangling and styling. Excessive detangling can result in split ends and can even eventually lead to breakage. So whether you detangle with a comb or with your fingers, it is important to keep in mind that coily or African hair likes to wrap around each other, and so it is not necessary to have 100% detangled hair. Therefore, the less you comb your hair, especially staying away from damaging brushes and comb, the more likely it will remain healthy and the less split ends and damage you will have. Wearing tight caps or bonnets and wave-ons around your edges can also cause a physical damage to your edges, so take heed. Also, the damage can also be evident on your scalp if you keep applying heavy butters or grease whose main ingredient is usually petroleum jelly and mineral oil to your scalp. The scalp needs to breathe, so I will advise you use the butters and grease to seal in the moisture into your hair, and then bless your scalp with penetrating oils or aloe vera. So my number 2 will be chemical damage, because one of the reasons why a lot of women transition to natural hair is due to the chemical damages that they experienced from relaxers or constant heat damage they experience from straightening their hair. So however, just because relaxers are a thing of the past for most women with natural hair, so it doesn't mean that you can never have a chemical damage because you are natural, right? Some women with natural hair still undergo chemical treatments every once in a while to either improve the appearance of their hair or to change their hair color. Chemical treatments such as bleach, highlight and coloring can have a serious consequence on the health of the hair. This is because chemical treatment changes the chemical and physical structure of the hair, and your hair can start falling out so bad. So if you have, or if your hair gets damaged from heat appliances, it usually looks like you retouch the hair and the hair will not curl back again, meaning you have to start from the scratch by doing another big chop or transitioning. So if you want to avoid heat damage, you should use a heat protectant before using the flat iron or blow dryer on low or medium heat, and do this once or twice yearly only if you feel you must do it. And if you don't like to take chances like me, you can completely just avoid it, because they remove moisture from the surface of the hair cuticles, resulting in brittle dry hair, which then becomes vulnerable to breakage. Also, products with ingredients that dries out the hair can cause a setback. For example, sulfate in shampoo can cause dryness, excessive tangles and frizziness. So make sure you watch this video to the end, because I will also be telling you signs to watch out for to detect if your hair is damaged, and also how you can revive it. Now look at this woman. Just take a look at what she's doing to her hair. What is this thing she's adding to her hair? Oh my goodness, is this a bleach or is it a detergent? Subhanallah. No, this is totally damaging. This should be avoided. It's not even foaming, so I think it's a bleach or something. And look at the way she's brought, oh god, look at the way she's manipulating and handling the hair. So this is also a very serious, or a very obvious sign of chemical damage and physical damage thereabouts. No, you should not do this to your hair or to anybody's hair, please. So the next one will be environmental factors. Strong winds can also cause your natural hair to form more tangles, which might be difficult to detangle later on. Similarly, the hot sun in dry season or summer can have a consequence on your hair. So if your hair has prolonged exposure to the sun, UVA and UVB can damage the outside cover of the hair strands, called the cuticle. This is actually the words of a dermatologist called Wilma Bergfield. The dermatologist also claimed that sun damage can come in forms of discoloration, dryness, and brittle ends. So note that your hair is particularly more vulnerable to sun damage if it is naturally not so thick, or if it is light colored. That soft, lighter hair lacks the thickness or pigment that can protect it from the sun's ray, while a darker, coarser hair has more natural oils, which together with its thickness, darker color, and oil covering helps to protect it from the sun. I hope I am communicating. So the sun rays act like a bleach on the hair, says Dr. Bergfield. Bleach acts with the melanin in the hair and removes the color in an irreversible chemical reaction. And you know that bleach also damages the hair's cuticle and protein, which is called keratin, right? Hot flat irons or rollers, chlorinated water in swimming pools, or coloring your hair can even make it more vulnerable to heat and sun. All of this damages your hair keratin. The damaged protein then allows sun and heat to penetrate the hair more easily and makes your hair fragile and unhealthy. So the next will be nutritional damage. Although hair is a dead matter, but the follicles which the hair grows out of is a living organism which must be well nourished. Therefore, proper nutrition is needed for the blood veins that carries nutrients to the individual hair follicles. When the body isn't receiving adequate nutrients, it reprioritizes the distribution of the nutrients that it receives. This means that vital organs that controls life and death will be attended to first. As a result, the condition of the hair health will be compromised. This is why any nutritional deficiency typically shows first in the hair. This also have a lot to do with hydration. Yeah, water is life. Also, the growth and appearance of the hair is also affected when a person is under stress, on medication, or in a serious health condition. Hair damages that occurs as a result of health-related problems can only be resolved after the body has returned to its healthy state through the use of medications. Although air damages occurs in a variety of ways, and the most effective way to keep the air healthy is by minimizing damages that are in your control. For example, the physical and chemical damages, and to some extent, the nutritional damage. Now that we know the various types of damages that our hair possibly go through, it is also very important for us to know what a damaged hair look like, acts like, and feels like. So if you have been following me from the beginning of this video and you are not still sure if your hair is damaged or not, then you need to watch out for these signs. So number one will be split ends. Split ends, yes, this is easily mistaken for frizz. Split ends are the damaged tips of the hair shaft that have split into 2 or 3 fragments. The ends are the oldest part of the hair, so they tend to grow increasingly porous and dry out over time, which is why many naturally curly ladies emphasize on paying more attention on the ends. Use more products there, yes. And if your hair looks full and voluminous at the roots and much thinner at the ends, then your ends are most likely damaged. So getting a trim and focusing on moisture is crucial at this point. Now, the only solution to split ends, or the only solution of split end, is to trim the ends away. Don't let anyone deceive you. Some people will always try to fix the damage with oils or butters, but to me this is medicine after death. Really, you should use oils, moisturizers, butters, or any good product as a preventive measure, because when the deed is done, then there is no forgiveness. So you need to trim it off, else the splits will keep going deep and deeper into the whole hair and it will be completely damaged. So all of these products used on the ends after it has split will only, or most likely only, cover up the mess temporarily, and then it will continue to do more harm. So another sign you should watch out for is lack of elasticity. The hair is naturally elastic, especially when wet. But one of the biggest problems with elasticity loss is that it can sometimes be hard to diagnose. But if you have been using relaxers, definitely it will be very apparent that your hair would have lost its elasticity. I mean, totally. Elasticity for hair is the ability of your hair to shrink or curl back after stretching it with your hands. So a healthy hair has a high level of elasticity, and this is what gives hair its body, its bounce, and its texture formation. So it is a big sign of a healthy hair. So to test if your hair has lost its elasticity, gently damp your hair, stretch some few strands, and if a strand breaks with little to no stretching, it may need small moisture. And if it stretches a bit and then returns to its natural state, then you have a normal elasticity. Another sign you should look out for is too much tangles. Although the natural hair loves to or is prone to tangle than straight or relaxed hair. If you are doing all the right thing in your detangling session and you are still wrestling or struggling with too much tangles, mating, excessive knots, and the likes, then your hair may be damaged. Yeah. Dry hair with roughened cuticles and frayed split ends is likely to snag and form knots. So this calls for more frequent deep conditioning, and it's a potential sign that it is time for a trim. You know your hair better than anyone else. So if it is soft, or if it used to be soft and manageable before, and now it is dull, thinning, tangled, and would no longer hold a style, then you should know that something isn't right. If it looks different, feels different, or your old products suddenly aren't working or doing well again, then you need to investigate to see if you have any damaging habits and stop doing them so that your hair will thank you. The next sign to watch out for is excessive breakage. Obviously, we all know once your hair is breaking beyond control, then there is a problem. It's a sign of a damaged hair. And also, once your hair starts to look dull or lackluster, or it won't look nice again, then it will always look tasty and unattractive. It is a sign of a damaged hair. So the next sign to also look out for is color fade and texture change. A damaged hair is more porous than a healthy hair. you may notice that the texture of your hair has changed. Sometimes we forget how fragile our hair is, and the African hair is the most fragile, and so neglecting the hair can do more harm than good. Another red flag is a stringy straight ends with looser curl pattern. This sort of noticeable changes in texture can be a red flag. So if your texture is like this before, I mean tightly curled, and suddenly it turns to this, then it is a red flag. So excessive heat is usually the culprit. Bleach and color damage or dryness and even over manipulation can also be a contributing factor. So boy, you can compare older pictures of your hair to tell if your hair has changed, or if you are not, that is if you are not so sure. So this is where we are going to end the discussion for today. For those that have subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing. And for those that are yet to subscribe, please do. It is free and it will not hurt your fingers. Your fingers will not break. Oh yeah, subscribe first. Press the subscribe button. Can you see that you still have your fingers to yourself? So thank you for subscribing. See you in my next one.